I'd like to start out this video by thanking my friend who gave me more of the same sedums and echeverias that I already had, because the ones he gave me are in really cool pots and flowering, and mine are not. See that? There's another one back here that I will pick up very carefully, not using my left hand at all. Isn't that amazing and beautiful? This morning, USA Today published a news article called Monkeypox. It's not a matter of whether it will spread widely. We need to focus on when. Now, normally, I read news articles from the top to the bottom. But I think I need to read this one from the bottom to the top, because sunken down underneath all of the wordy text in this article, at the very bottom, it says, "Is the U.S. prepared to handle the monkeypox threat?" Dr. Siegel wrote a column in May as the virus was approaching 100 cases. He focused on COVID-19 testing lessons that can be applied now. This is what he said in May. "What we can learn from COVID's PCR and rapid testing delays is the great importance of decentralized, widely available testing. Public health requires an accurate assessment of the number of cases, the ease of spread, and the severity of illness before we can accurately identify and fight any infectious disease. We have a PCR test now to identify monkeypox. It needs to be made widely available without delay." He said that in May? Really? That's interesting. So, to find out if this was true, if a PCR test for monkeypox had been available in May, I actually Googled it. And what came up is, from Business Insider's South African site, Business Insider South Africa, trending. A small biotech firm stock spiked 425% after giving a positive update on a PCR test for monkeypox, by Jennifer Soar. It says that Applied DNA Sciences stock jumped over 400% on Tuesday after the company gave an update on a monkeypox PCR test. About 82.5 million shares changed hands, compared to the average volume of 153,000. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. Because yesterday morning I saw this awful news article saying that Moderna had put out a press release saying they were not too urgent about making a monkeypox vaccine because they were more concerned with making COVID-19 vaccines and new boosters for the new strains of COVID-19. And the minute that I saw that article, I said, how could Moderna be so stupid? If they announced they were fast-tracking making a monkeypox vaccine like they did for COVID, their stocks would have shot up. In fact, I thought their press release was so stupid that I did something that I think that most people would not consider doing. I went on Twitter. But I didn't just tweet about it to the universe. I went on Twitter and I found Moderna's Twitter page, and I directly tweeted them, and I said, how could you be so stupid? It's astonishing that people want another vaccine from you, and you just summarily dismissed all these people who actually want a vaccine from you, and told them that you're not urgent to make one. And if you had posted an opposite press release saying you were urgent to make one, your stocks would have gone up. And even as a person who never did and never would take a COVID-19 vaccine, I am still intelligent enough to know you're stupid. And their press release also said that they didn't think monkeypox could become a pandemic, so I went to the Lancet's most recent study about monkeypox, and I found this chart that showed the exponential growth of monkeypox and showed it going up like this, and I tweeted that image to Moderna, and I said that this is a image of how monkeypox has been growing exponentially in the same way as COVID-19 did at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic from the Lancet. It was a recent study of how fast monkeypox was spreading in the current 2022 outbreak that we're having right now. So I said something like, here is a graph chart from the Lancet showing that monkeypox actually could become a potential pandemic pathogen. So I went on Twitter this morning to see if Moderna had replied to my tweets, and they had not. I also checked to see whether they had blocked me on Twitter, and they had not. But I did see that I had gotten a private message on Twitter from a USA Today reporter who was apparently angry at me and thought I had some kind of ulterior motives because I fact-checked his article, but it wasn't an article about monkeypox. It was an article about medical marijuana where he said that doctors could not prescribe medical marijuana and there was only anecdotal evidence that marijuana had any medicinal value. So I tweeted him to inform him that those facts were incorrect, and he got offended. So I realized that this reporter had never seen anyone's fact checks of his reporting before, because the USA Today apparently does not read the comments on their YouTube channel. So I replied to the reporter's private message by sending him a link to the most recent video that USA Today posted on their YouTube channel. And I told him to read the comments and questioned why USA Today posts on YouTube but doesn't read or moderate their comments. And by the way, this cat is named Blue Dream, and she's named that after a strain of marijuana. I also tweeted Moderna and told them that they better start working on a vaccine for Marburg virus, because, in case you haven't heard, Nigerian scientists are warning the world that if they ignore Marburg virus because the news is reporting that there's only a few cases in Africa, they might make the same mistake with monkeypox and let it spread around the world, because in reality there's a few hundred people who've been exposed, quarantined for it in Africa also, and there's also nobody like checking people who are like flying to the USA or other countries on planes to see if they have symptoms of Marburg virus, or they may possibly have been exposed to it in Africa where they came from. So if the USA makes the same mistake with Marburg virus and it starts spreading around the world, and you start hearing there are cases in New York and the cases are rising quickly in Texas and the like, at that point I hope that Moderna actually does have a vaccine, because at that point I probably would take a vaccine from them. Because you're talking about a disease that has like a 80 to 90% death rate, so at that point I think fear of vaccine side effects would fly out the window, and I would be more concerned with not dying. So with that said, I'm going to end this video. I think my cats need some canned cat food. And she keeps brushing her tail against this succulent that looks like a bunch of little cacti, and it's actually a succulent. And that's probably not a good thing for her to be doing. Meow.
Alright, let's go water these tomatoes real quick.
I was editing the video that I recorded the day before yesterday, this morning, but while I was editing it, I was also keeping up to date on the recent breaking news about monkeypox. And once I saw today's recent breaking news about monkeypox, I couldn't in good conscience upload the video that I recorded the day before yesterday without recording this update. Because the day before yesterday, I personally addressed Moderna in my video, and it would be irresponsible for me not to also address Pfizer because of the video that I saw minutes after it was uploaded by CBS News, which I cannot show you because it will not play on my phone. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Before I talk about that video, I must mention the article published by Insider called "An ER Doctor Says He's Sick of Seeing Monkeypox Patients Misdiagnosed Only to End Up in the Hospital in Excruciating Pain." He says many monkeypox cases are being missed, and he says, "We have seen patients that have been going up to 7 centers, 3 different urgent cares, dermatologists, and ERs to try to figure out what is going on." Well, I wouldn't be able to do that. Makes it sound like it's pretty impossible for people to get diagnosed with monkeypox, even if they're certain they have it, and obviously have symptoms proving that they do have it. Next, I'm going to mention that there was a case of monkeypox in Humboldt County, California. And it's really interesting because I wrote a letter to the editor of the North Coast Journal saying that I was concerned about monkeypox, and I was concerned that our local government and media were not taking it seriously. And in my letter it said, I thought that it was unlikely that they would publish my letter, and if they did publish it, there would probably be a case of monkeypox before they published my letter. So I was right. There was a case of monkeypox before they published my letter. So now I'm wondering if they're going to publish my letter after the fact, which would make them look stupid, or just never publish it, which would make me lose an opportunity to have my letter published. And then People magazine published this article called "Can Monkeypox Spread Through Objects Like Doorknobs?" An expert explains as U.S. cases surpass 6,500. In this article, it says a lot of words, but some things it says are really weird. "Can you bring me your phone? It can be spread by large respiratory droplets." Look, this reminds me of the start of the COVID-19 pandemic when they were arguing about the difference between respiratory droplet spread and airborne spread. You might want to have a mask with you. Where's my mask? It's gone. I had a mask with me. I was going to show you. I'll get it in a minute and show it to you. Just in case it goes from respiratory droplets to it's airborne, like COVID-19 did. In this article it says, and I'm just astonished People magazine published this. According to Yancey, it is absolutely a possibility for monkeypox to be transmitted through items like money, as the virus can survive for days in an environment. So monkeypox is a sibling of smallpox. Remember that old story of the U.S. military giving smallpox-infected blankets to Native Americans? This could absolutely be transmitted in that fashion, Yancey said. Okay, that story was not about the U.S. military giving smallpox-infected blankets to Native Americans. It was about people settling the United States before the U.S. was a country and before the U.S. military existed. And it's really interesting. A local reporter just recently, a few months ago, wrote an article debunking the proven fact that it happened, that it was written by the same reporter who wrote the article saying that people who were unvaccinated for COVID-19 thought that the earth was flat.
Okay.
Is it going to play? What's going on here? Why won't it play? This is very weird. This video will not play on either my or my boyfriend's phone. What scares me is that the guy from Pfizer is saying what I've been saying for a long time that people called me crazy for saying.
We turn now to former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who's also a board member at Pfizer, and he joins us this morning from San Francisco. Dr. Gottlieb, good to have you back. You have been on this program warning for some time now that monkeypox was past the point of containment. This week, the Biden administration acknowledged it is a national public health emergency. They added 2 senior advisors to the White House to run point. What difference does it make now? Can they catch up?
Well, look, I think they can still catch up. I think there's the potential to get this back in the box, but it's going to be very difficult at this point. We're continuing to look for cases in the community of men who have sex with men. It's primarily spreading in that community, but there's no question that's spread outside that community at this point, and I think we need to start looking for cases more broadly. We're looking for cases in that community, so we're finding them there, but we need to start looking for cases in the broader community. That means probably testing anyone who presents with an atypical case of shingles or an atypical case of herpes for monkeypox as well. I think we need to broaden testing, and so far CDC's been reluctant to make that recommendation. I think if we're going to contain this and make sure that it doesn't spread more broadly in the population, we need to start testing more broadly. We have the capacity to do it.
Just listen to this guy. He's not only saying what I've been saying, but he looks like terrified. Like he's trying to save face and not scare you or look scared, but he just can't cover it up.
Right now, CDC has the capacity to conduct about 80,000 tests a week. They're doing about 8,000. So they can broaden this substantially by changing the case definition and recommending that more doctors be testing more patients looking for this infection in the community.
Well,
But do they have PCR tests for it? It's still an unanswered question.
your point about broader spread, in Illinois, a daycare worker tested positive for monkeypox and exposed children. The FDA are allowing those kids to be vaccinated.
Notice how she calls them children, then kids. What are children called in English?
Parents about to send their kids back to school. Should they be worried about this now?
Look, I don't think this is something that people need to be generally worried about. I think that probably the incidence of this infection in the broader community is still very low. So your risk of coming into contact with monkeypox is exceedingly low outside of certain social networks where you see a higher case rate. But if we want to contain this, if we want to prevent this from becoming an endemic virus, we need to be looking more widely for it. And the worst case scenario is that we start testing more broadly and we don't find it, and that would be reassuring. But we should be doing that. We should also be testing wastewater.
He should have said the best case scenario would be to test more broadly and not find it. The worst case scenario would be to test more broadly and find it. And by the way, I am dismayed by how they are portraying gay people as like promiscuous animals that have sex with a bunch of people in these social networks they're describing, because a lot of gay people are in like monogamous relationships with people of the same sex, as opposed to me and my boyfriend being in a monogamous relationship with someone of the opposite sex.
Monkeypox. That's something that CDC can turn on instantly, starting to look for monkeypox in wastewater to see if it's spreading in communities and locations, geographic locations, where right now we don't think it's spreading, but it could be.
We don't know what we don't know. On vaccines, we know there is a national shortage. There are 2 doses of this vaccine that are required. HHS and the FDA said on Thursday that they're looking at a dose-sparing approach to stretch out existing supply. How does that work? What does that mean?
Right, so this decision could come as early as this week, and the emergency use authorization that they could issue it flows from the...
It's the emergency use authorization
health emergency that they declared. So this would be the first practical effect of that public health emergency. What they would do is cut the dose by a fifth, so they'd only give 1/5 of the dose. And instead of injecting it subcutaneously, so below the skin, they'd inject it intradermally into the skin, so into the top layer of the skin. So think about a test that you get, for example, for tuberculosis, where you used to get an injection under the skin and you'd get a small welt as they injected fluid under the skin. That's an intradermal infection. We know that we inject certain things into the skin in that way. It's very immunogenic. You get a strong immune response, and there's a lot of data that FDA's looked at that was actually collected in the context of trying to prepare for smallpox, a potential outcome with smallpox, where smallpox might be used as a bioterrorist weapon, and how we would extend doses of the smallpox vaccine. What they learned from those studies is transferable to this vaccine from monkeypox, and so they feel very assured that they can generate a strong immunological response by delivering this intradermally, and that would allow them to stretch out the doses of the monkeypox vaccine they have by 5-fold. So instead of having about 800,000 doses, they would have somewhere between 4 and 5 million doses immediately.
But this is essentially an experiment in real time.
Well, we've done it before. I mean, we did it for yellow fever. We've done it for Ebola.
All right. I am shocked that they allowed the reporter to ask that brazen question to this Pfizer employee on the news, but they did. That's interesting.
We've done these dose-sparing strategies in public health emergencies. It's unfortunate we find ourselves in this position. There's decisions that could have been made earlier where we'd have more doses available, but this is a practical solution to a very immediate public health challenge.
All right. Why, Pfizer, are you and Moderna not making a fast-track monkeypox vaccine like you made a fast-track COVID vaccine? If you could do it for COVID, why can't you do it for monkeypox? Why do you look terrified? Why are you on the news promoting using someone else's vaccine in an experimental way to reporters and the American public? This is why I could not upload the video I recorded the day before yesterday responsibly without recording this update. Because this terrified looking guy is being like really honest, and his honesty and the terrified look on his face and the terrified tone in his voice that he's attempting to cover up terrify me. If this CEO from Pfizer looks this terrified and just trying this hard to promote someone else's vaccine on a news outlet that's pro-Democrat and pro-vaccine, why? And why is Moderna dismissing the urgency of making a monkeypox vaccine? It makes you wonder why they had those COVID-19 vaccines ready and available so fast. If you could fast-track vaccines for COVID-19, do it for monkeypox. Why can't you? Why are you promoting another corporation's vaccine, and why do you look so terrified? With that said, I am now going to end this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please like this video, share this video, watch my other videos, and subscribe to my channels. And oh, look at that message. That's the message I get now when I get a notification on YouTube. That's how I know that someone commented on one of my videos or replied to one of my comments on someone else's videos. I know when I get this lovely message. Alright, bye people. By the way, there's the mask I was going to show you. I was going to tell you that I wore it facing this way for the COVID-19 pandemic, and it would also match the outfit I'm wearing right now if I wore it facing out. But it is also reversible, and I think that I should bend the wiring the other way and wear it facing this way for the monkeypox pandemic, because it also matches the spots on my outfit. See, this side matches the pink on my outfit, this side matches the spots on my outfit, and I think this side would be more appropriate for the monkeypox pandemic. Bye for real now, people. Apparently I cannot publish my video without filming another update, because this story has been widely reported by the media. But what they did not tell you was that it was this type of this. Google this article to read it yourself, but this is scary. because I have been monitoring this situation by reading the news about it since 2019. And I'm going to end this video by showing you what I said about this when it scared me in 2019. Poliovirus was diseases created by humans being released to the public either accidentally or on purpose and making people sick. I recently saw an article that came out about a year ago. Here's the article. It's called Alarming Polio Outbreak Spreads in Congo, Threatening Global Eradication Efforts. And this article says that this outbreak of the polio virus was caused by the polio vaccine. The live weakened virus in the polio vaccine regained its neurovirulence and the ability to spread. There is an urgency to stopping these vaccine-derived outbreaks, says epidemiologist Nicholas Grassley. It is so much more important than controlling the wild virus, he goes on to say. The article then goes on to say that the weakened but still alive and able to infect version of the polio virus in what they call a safe and effective vaccine can, in rare instances, mutate over and over until it reverts to its dangerous form, which is what caused this outbreak. And this is a problem that scientists have known about for years, that you can read about on Wikipedia's webpage about attenuated vaccines. The issue is that both the oral polio V thing that causes this and the injected polio V thing might not protect against this new mutated strain, which is apparently what the person got sick from in New York. So before you run out and get a PV thing, consider that. It may not be effective against the V thing created strain. And why do all news articles about this omit this important information and encourage vaccination? So now that I have recorded a third update to this video, I will hopefully upload it tomorrow morning. Bye for a third time.